In the Santa Lucia Mountains in California, local legends speak of mysterious dark figures who stand along the peaks, often in places ordinary people would not be able to climb to, and seemingly staring at nothing. They have been given the name of the Dark Watchers. The Dark Watchers are described as tall, sometimes giant-sized, featureless dark silhouettes, often adorned with brimmed hats or walking sticks. They are most often reported to be seen in the hours around twilight and dawn. They are said to motionlessly watch travelers from the horizon along the Santa Lucia Mountain range. According to legend, no one has seen one up close, and if someone were to approach them, they disappear. The Dark Watchers are most famously given a brief mention in John Steinbeck's Flight, included in the 1938 collection of his short stories, The Long Valley. Pepe looked suspiciously back every minute or so, and his eyes sought the tops of the ridges ahead. Once, on a white barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked quickly away, for it was one of the Dark Watchers. No one knew who the Watchers were, nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them and never to show interest in them. They did not bother one who stayed on the trail and minded his own business. Along with this, Watchers were also referenced by poet Robin Jeffers in the titular poem of his 1937 collection, Such Counsels You Gave to Me, and Other Poems. He thought it might be one of the Watchers, who are often seen in this length of coast range. Forms that look human to human eyes, but certainly are not human. They come from behind ridges to watch, but when he approached it, he recognized the shabby clothes and pale hair, and even the averted forehead and concave line from the eye to the jaw, so that he was not surprised when the figure turning toward him in the quiet twilight showed his own face. Then it melted and merged into the shadows beyond him. John Steinbeck's son, Thomas Steinbeck, would grow up to report having seen the Dark Watchers during his childhood, and later, along with artist Benjamin Brode, collaborate on a book titled In Search of the Dark Watchers, where they go into the history of the legend and interview locals who claim to have seen them, such as famed Big Sur resident Billy Post. According to newspaper archives in the mid-1960s, a Monterey Peninsula local and former high school principal went on a hiking trip in the Santa Lucias when he suddenly spotted a dark figure standing on a rock and surveying the area. When the principal called out to the other hikers, the creature vanished. According to legend, there are also some more requirements for the Dark Watchers to make themselves known to hikers in the mountains. Those who are carrying guns or wearing weatherproof clothing scare them off for some reason. They prefer to only reveal themselves to hikers who are wearing more old-fashioned garb, according to paranormal investigator Jason Offit. There is one oft-repeated story of a local man who went hiking in the mountains sometime in the 1960s. He saw the Dark Watchers and somehow had enough time to study and process exactly what it was he was seeing. He called out to some fellow hikers in order to alert them of the presence of these mysterious figures. But when he turned back to where the figures had been standing, they had vanished. Naturally, the story is vague, and there's nothing to indicate that this encounter took place, but it does seem to mirror the experience of others who have claimed to see the Dark Watchers. But where did they come from? If a person was to look for information on the Dark Watchers online, or in books that collect California ghost stories, they would likely find more or less the same brief description in the vast majority of sources. Brian Dunning of Skeptoid noticed this as well, and he believes that the authors of these descriptions have simply been copying the same story for years. Some variations of the legend also claim that the stories originated with early Spanish settlers, who called the figures Los Vigilantes Oscuros. Unfortunately, there's no way to pinpoint the actual origins of the stories of the Dark Watchers other than what the locals knew about them prior to 1937, before Jefferson's poem was published. Many explanations for the Dark Watchers have been proposed. One common theory is that they are illusions or hallucinations caused by feelings of exhaustion or isolation during hiking. Another theory blames infrasound, low-frequency sounds that have been suggested to cause feelings of fear in people who hear them. The Brocken Spectre, an optical illusion that can cast a magnified shadow on clouds or fog, has also been proposed as a possible natural explanation for the mysterious sightings. A less natural explanation for the Dark Watchers links them to reports of shadow people due to their similar physical appearances, particularly the notorious Hat Man, often seen by sufferers of sleep paralysis. However, it's also been noted that the stories of the Dark Watchers likely predates reports of the Hat Man, and given how localized the Dark Watchers stories are, they are likely not actually related. Many witnesses and locals believe the Dark Watchers are spirits, though the type of spirit they are is debated. Some say they bring bad luck. Others claim they are spirits of the more benevolent kind, likely owing to the fact that there have been no reported encounters that involve violence. Still, others claim the Dark Watchers are physical manifestations of the Grim Reaper. So what are we to make of the stories of the Dark Watchers? All things considered, there isn't much to go on other than stories of witnesses. But the local believers of the Dark Watchers and other outside witnesses are firmly convinced of their existence. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed learning about this legend, please subscribe and also ring the bell so that you will be notified of all new uploads. I haven't used my Instagram in a while, but as this channel is beginning to gain popularity, I will start posting more of my day-to-day life. Also, follow me on Twitter. All the links are in the description below. And as always, one person's insanity is another person's normal. It's up to you to decide which is yours.